You won't forget. Our regiment was resting in the gap of a range of hills in plain view of the city of Franklin. We could see the battle flags of the enemy waving in the breeze. Our army had been depleted of its strength by a forced march from Spring Hill, and stragglers lined the road. Our artillery had not yet come up and could not be brought into action. Our cavalry was across Harpeth River, and our army was but in poor condition to make an assault. While resting on the hillside, I saw a courier dash up to our commanding general, B.F. Cheatham, and the word attention was given. I knew then that we would soon be in action. Forward, march. We passed over the lull and through a little skirt of woods. The enemy were fortified right across the Franklin Pike in the suburbs of the town. Right here in these woods, a detail of skirmishers were called for. Our regiment was detailed. We deployed as skirmishers, firing as we advanced on the left of the Turnpike Road. If I had not been a skirmisher on that day, I would not have been writing this today in the year of our Lord, 1882. It was 4 o'clock on that dark and dismal December day when the line of battle was formed. As they marched on down through an open field toward the rampart of blood and death, the Federal batteries began to open and mow down and gather into the garner of death as brave and good and pure spirits as the world ever saw. The twilight of evening had begun to gather as a precursor of the coming blackness of midnight darkness that was to envelop a scene so sickening and horrible that it is impossible for me to describe it. Forward, men, is repeated all along the line. A sheet of fire was poured into our very faces, and for a moment we halted as if in despair, as the terrible avalanche of shot and shell laid low these brave and gallant heroes, whose bleeding wounds attested that the struggle would be desperate. Forward, men. The air is loaded with death-dealing missiles. Never on this earth did men fight against such terrible odds. It seemed that the very element of heaven and earth were in one mighty uproar. Forward, men, and the blood spurts in a perfect jet from the dead and wounded. The earth is red with blood. It runs in streams. Occasionally there was a little lull in the storm of battle. It seemed as if night tried to cover the scene with her mantle. The feast of death went on. The last glow tints of the golden sunset melted in the sky. Moans and groans and the sharp cry of fierce agony rose above the din of battle like the savage growls of the wounded tiger. The death angel shrieks and laughs, and old Father Time is busy with his sickle as he gathers in the last harvest of death, crying more, 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 while his rapacious maw is blooded with the slain. But the skirmish line being deployed out, extending a little wider than the battle did, passing through a thicket of small locusts where Brown, orderly sergeant of Company B, was killed. We advanced on toward the breastworks, on and on. I had made up my mind to die, felt glorious. We pressed forward until I heard the terrific roar of battle open on our right. Clayton's division was charging their works. I passed on until I got to their works, walked up the ascent, and got over on their side. But in 50 yards of where I was, the scene was lit up by fires that seemed like hell itself. It appeared to be but one line of streaming fire. Our troops were upon one side of the breastworks, and the Federals on the other. I ran up on the line of the works where our men were engaged. Dead soldiers filled the entrenchments. Their firing was kept on until after midnight and gradually died out. We passed the night where we were, but when the morrow sun began to light up the eastern sky with its rosy hues, and we looked over the battlefield, oh my God, what did we see? It was a grand holocaust of death. Death had held a high carnival there that night. The dead were piled one on the other all over the ground. I never was so horrified and appalled in my life. Horses, like men, had died game on the gory breastworks. General Adams' horse had his forefeet on one side of the works and his hind feet on the other, dead. The general seems to have been caught so that he was held to the horse's back, sitting almost as at living, riddled and mangled and torn with balls. General Claiborne's mare had her forefeet on top of the works, dead in that position. General Claiborne's body was pierced with 49 bullets through and through. General Straw's horse lay by the roadside, and the general by his side, both dead, and all of his staff. General Gist, a noble and brave cavalier from South Carolina, was lying with his sword reaching across the breastworks, still grasped in his hand. He was lying there dead. General Granberry from Texas and his horse were seen, horse and rider, right on top of the breastworks, dead, all dead. They sleep in the graveyard yonder at Ashwood, almost in sight of my home, where I'm writing this today. They sleep the sleep of the brave. We love and cherish their memory. They sleep beneath the ivy mantled walls of St. John's Episcopal Church, where they expressed a wish to be buried. The private soldier sleeps where he fell, piled in one mighty heap. 4,500 privates, all lying side by side in death. Never on this earth did the soil of old Mother Earth drink braver blood. Never was crimson blood shed more willingly. 13 generals were killed and wounded. I cannot tell the number of others killed and wounded. God alone knows that. We'll all find out in the morning of the final resurrection. So you can just imagine the carnage. He goes on from there to keep describing